In our nation's 246-year history, there has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. He tried to steal the last election using lies and violence to keep himself in power after the voters had rejected him. He is a coward. A real man wouldn't lie to his supporters. He lost his election, and he lost big. I know it, he knows it, and deep down, I think most Republicans know it. Lynn and I are so proud of Liz for standing up for the truth, doing what's right, honoring her oath to the Constitution, when so many in our party are too scared to do so. Liz is fearless.
Donald
She never
Trump and
backs
his
down
family
from
are
a fight.
greeting Liz
There is
Cheney's
nothing more
crushing
important she will
defeat
ever
with
do
unbridled
than lead
glee.
the effort to make sure Donald
Don
Trump
Jr.
is
posted
never
this
again
mocking
worthy
video
of office.
montage to the song
And she
Kiss
will
Him
succeed.
Goodbye.
I am Dick Cheney. I proudly voted for my daughter. I hope you will too.
Bye-bye.
And also this image showing Cheney serving Trump from the drive-thru window at a McDonald's. Trump himself vented, now she can finally disappear into the depths of political oblivion.
August 16, 2022. Mark that day on your calendar, and every year that date comes around, you should celebrate. You should have a beer or have a drink, lemonade if you're underage. That's a day that you should celebrate because it's the date that signifies the end of the political dynasty families in America being in power. Liz Cheney was absolutely obliterated in her primary run for the Congress of the United States of America. She was obliterated. She didn't lose by 10 or 20 points or 30 points. She lost by nearly 40 points in one unified voice. The people of Wyoming said, "You're fired." And the reason that is huge and significant isn't just because Liz Cheney is everything wrong with politics. The sort of nepotism, the getting into a position of power based on who your family is. And my least favorite, and this is something that I find needs to change immediately, is when you have somebody that isn't from a particular area, that only runs for office based on wanting power. So Liz Cheney does not and has not ever represented the people of Wyoming. She's not from Wyoming. And so it's no surprise that she has nothing but contempt for them in the end. Nothing but contempt for them. Using that concession speech to go after Donald Trump to try to hurt him. I mean, it'll fail, but going after Donald Trump, lying multiple times, comparing herself to comparing herself to Ulysses S. Grant and Abraham Lincoln. I mean, why not George Washington? Throw in anyone else in there. Liz Cheney is the most undeserving politician that I've ever seen in the Republican Party. And the fact that she would have the audacity to not lose with any sort of grace and say, "I hear you, I understand. I had a vision of what my constituents wanted. I was clearly wrong. And so I will need to reevaluate going forward." No, doubles down. Hey, I'm going to run for president. Oh my God, Liz Cheney, please, please, please run for president. Please run for, I'm not even joking right now. Please, please do it. Run for president. Oh my God. That would be one of the greatest things I've ever seen. I mean, it would just be, I would grab my popcorn and my beer and I'd sit right down and I would watch Donald Trump on stage. Just, it'd be like Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones. Is that a little too vivid? Metaphorically speaking, of course. But yeah, it's oh God. Oh, that visual. Oh my God. Oh, sometimes I outdo myself in 1,000 different ways. But anyway, my point is that Liz Cheney is the end of the Cheney dynasty. They will not be put in power anymore. People hate them, rightfully so. You know, I know that a lot of people, they go, well, wait a minute, you're a conservative and you don't like the Cheneys and the Bushes? What? Well, first of all, yes, I am a conservative. But more than anything, I'm more of a libertarian. I'm more of a leave me the hell alone type of, political figure. I think that I know better what to do with my money than the government. I think I know better how to manage my life than the government. I think I know how to manage my property better than the government. And you know what? I'm absolutely right. I know better what to do with my money. I know better who to associate with. And so my approach to government and everything is fine. It's essential. It's needed. But stay the fuck away from me, please. Thank you. You stay over there. I'll have my guns on my property. I'll buy whatever car I want. I'm not going to buy a Prius. No, I'm not going to adhere to your ridiculous weather standards like in California where they told me, well, on the days that we declared to be a spare the air day, you can't put a fire in your fireplace. And people think I'm kidding about that. No, there are things called spare the air days. And you can't burn a fire in your own fireplace in your home. My answer to that is fuck you. I will burn a fire in my fireplace whenever I goddamn please. Thank you. And stay the hell away out of my business, out of my property, out of my life. Thank you. And I show respect for law enforcement because I understand they have an incredible job. But my approach is, do you have a warrant? No, you can't come into my house and just simply search. And if I ever get arrested, it's let me talk to my lawyer. So, yeah, a bit more libertarian probably than more, typically conservative. I'm more conservative than most, but I think fundamentally I am a libertarian at heart because I don't want people to tell me what to do. So that's why I find Liz Cheney to be so repulsive because she represents the Uniparty. The people that believe that they are elite and that they know better and that they can control your life and that they can dictate your life and take away your freedoms, take away your speech, take away everything so that you're living in a 10 by 10 little cubicle and you have nothing. And boy, shouldn't you be grateful to the government? My answer to that is no. No, stay away from me. I don't like you. I don't want anything to do with you. I will have a house or a piece of property as big as I can afford. And I will provide for my family and, and the people who I consider to be friends and the people who are part of my community, my fellowship. But otherwise, no, I'm not going to downsize or get rid of my guns or do any of that stuff simply because a bunch of people don't like it or they want my stuff. Never going to happen. Never. So yeah, that's part of the reason why I despise people like Liz Cheney, because every time they open their mouth, every time they speak, it's buzzword, bullshit, fake, facade. That's what it is. It's all a smokescreen. They never mean what they say, these politicians. They never mean what they say. They always want to try to pull the wool over your eyes or mean something different. And you can always tell because once you see through their bullshit and you actually listen to what they say, it becomes evident that these people are not out for your best interest. They don't know what they're doing. It's all petty. It's all vindictive. I mean, it's like the vendetta against Trump is just pathetic. And so I'm sitting here going, this woman's gone. Her family's out of power. You know, the Karl Roves and those type of, you know, disgusting monsters are gone. Those people that helped try to ruin the country are out of power. And I could not be more happy. And so I'm hoping that more MAGA first, America first, American first, Republicans and conservatives win in November and then win in 2024 and help get this country back on track. And by the way, I want to say something in the end. The left in America is some of the most profoundly entitled, narcissistic, racist people that I've ever met. When I was growing up, I had friends of all different ethnicities, all different skin colors within those ethnicities. I had friends across the spectrum. And you know the thing that we all had in common? We were all American. You see, the left doesn't believe that these other races are American. They don't. They treat them differently. And I find that to be utterly immoral and contemptible. I don't understand why you would treat somebody different based on the color of their skin. I've never understood it. There's 1,000 reasons that you can hate somebody. Let me ask you, do you think, and I've been called a racist so many times online because of my opinions, but let me ask you something. I got banned from Twitter. Why do you think that was? Was it because I was spouting, racial epithets towards black people and, just calling them all sorts of obscene names? No, I was calling for the castration and imprisonment of Ezra Miller for sexually abusing a young girl and being an absolute drain and detriment to society. Being somebody that has caused numerous amounts of physical and mental harm to people. And he's as pasty white as anyone that I've ever seen. I mean, he's like a ghoul, a specter. So it's not about race. It's never been about race. For me, it's honestly about class. And you could say, well, are you a Marxist? No, absolutely not. I'm a libertarian capitalist. But I don't like communists. And I don't like identitarians of any kind. And so I find myself in this position where I grew up in a multicultural neighborhood, but it wasn't multicultural in that, everyone had their own, well, I guess maybe it wasn't multicultural. It was multiracial, but the culture we all shared was American, which is amazing considering I came from California. But the people that I grew up with, every race of person that I was interacting with, that I was good friends with, and a lot of them were still friends to this day, they were Americans, and they were proud to be Americans. And I remember one of my friends. He was Puerto Rican, and his family was one of the most pro-America, his dad especially, but his mom too. And whenever I would go over for like Sunday dinner where they'd barbecue and stuff, and by the way, if you haven't had Puerto Rican food, you have to put it on your list of things to try, because authentic Puerto Rican food is some of the best that you will ever. My God, it's incredible. But his mom would cook, and stuff like that. But his dad was, his dad was as conservative and America first, even back then, as anyone that I've ever seen. He was from Puerto Rico. He had a brother that I think had lived in Cuba for some time. but and went through a whole. I mean, I couldn't even go into that story. It's just so horrific. Some of the stuff that took place. But the point is that he was anti-immigration. He was like, no, these are more like illegal immigration. He was like, no. He was like, I hate illegal immigration, and he was. You would think that he was like one of these people that the left would talk about, this white MAGA conservative deport. No, he was a full Puerto Rican, proud person, but he was American. He became an American citizen, and so I've grown up around people of all different races, and I know one thing in common: being American is not synonymous with being white. It's just not. You can be any race of person, and you can be any race of people, and you are an American because it's a culture. It's a culture that puts freedom above the feelings of other people. Like, oh, I was offended by that, so you should, I don't like to look at guns, so you shouldn't own that. It's freedom first, baby. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. And that is open for absolutely everyone. No country is perfect, but this one is pretty damn amazing. And I'm blessed beyond belief that I was born here, because I wouldn't want to be born anywhere else. There's no country on earth that I would rather be a citizen of. Even when we have our problems, no country I'd rather be a citizen of. My grandfather came to this country and worked his ass off. And he knew that this was the only place because there was something special about America. And I think that in many ways we've given that up. And in large part, that's because of people like Liz Cheney, the corrupt Uniparty politicians. And I think that it's not too late to pull it back, to get these people out of office, to bring in people like Carrie Lake. And what was her name? Maggie Haberman? Was that her name? I don't want to get her name wrong, but I think it was Haberman. And bringing in people like Donald Trump again. Putting in people like Ron DeSantis. Having conservatives with a good head on their shoulders that know what they're doing, that will put your freedoms first, that will fight against big tech censorship, that will fight against the obvious corruption and racism and low IQ delusion of the left and the people who agree with them, which at this point, if you can't figure out what a disease this ideology is, then at this point there's no saving you, because it's done irreparable damage for generations to come, and it will take a miracle to undo what these people have done. So, anyway, that's where I'm going to end things, ladies and gentlemen. Have a drink with me. Liz Cheney is gone, and I will see